Alright, so once you guys have your 2 pre-sketches done, only 1 pre-sketch if you're doing option A, you're going to trace it out onto tracing paper. So if you feel like the pre-sketch you did was kind of sloppy, you can just redraw it nicer onto your tracing paper. So what I'm going to do now is a graphite transfer. So that's the same technique we did when we were doing our album covers. So you're going to put your tracing paper down, pencil side facing the block, and you're going to take a pencil, hold it in place, and you're just going to shade the back of this paper. Now if you did something like letters, this is going to make your letters backwards, but that's actually a good thing when you're printmaking, because when you actually print onto your paper, it'll be the correct way. Alright, so when you lift it up, you'll see that your drawing is transferred to your block, and then the last thing you would have to do before we start carving is just to outline it in pen. Reason being, if you leave your drawing in pencil, it'll start to smudge, and we don't want that. And then I don't use Sharpies for this either because the rubber block actually ruins the Sharpies. So we're just going to use pen to outline. So once you're done with that and you're ready to start carving, I actually already started on this one. This is the one I showed you guys yesterday during class. And you're going to grab your carving tools. So the carving tools we have look like this. So they've got this red handle, and then they should have a silver blade at the top. Now if you want a different size blade, because if you see here, these are 2 different sizes. If you hear that rattling, there's actually, in some of these, a blade inside of there. So you can unscrew the handle and pick out a different blade. So the ones with the 5 on them are called a U gouge, so they have like a bigger U shape. These are really good for carving out large areas. The one that I just pulled out of there, that's a 3, and this is called a V gouge because if you look at the tip of it, it's got kind of a V shape. So these are really good for doing details and any like kind of tight corners. Now this last one has a number 1 on the back, and this is a mini V gouge. So this one is super small, and this would only be good if you're doing like small outlining or anything that's very small. I don't use this a lot because it's so small it takes a long time to use. So if you guys want to change out a blade, all you have to do is twist this until you can pull out the blade. So you want to carefully just pull it out. Now if your whole thing falls apart, please come and get me because there are 2 parts inside of here that we need in order for this to work. So if your whole thing starts to fall apart, like you've unscrewed it too far, please come get me to help you because we don't want to lose the parts. So you're just going to partially unscrew this, and then you're going to take the blade that you want to change and put the side with the writing, goes right into that crack area. And then you're going to screw this back on so it's tight. You don't want to screw it on so tight that the next person can't get the top unscrewed, but you also don't want it to be all shaky and jiggly. Okay? So when you guys are done with the blade that you've changed out, you need to make sure that you put it back into the handle so we don't lose it. Now when you guys are carving, you want to think about the space that you're carving away versus the space that you're keeping. So anything that you carve away will stay the same color as your background. So since I'm carving out the outlines, that means when I roll on the ink, the outlines will stay, like if I put it on this blue paper, my outlines would stay blue like the paper. Okay? Anything that you're leaving, so the space that you're leaving, your positive space, will turn whatever color ink that you're using. So if I'm using black ink, all of the space I'm leaving will turn black. So when you guys are carving, just like in the video yesterday, you want to make sure that your hands are out of the way of the blade. So I should never be like this. You always want to be carving away from your body. And I'm just going to hold the block with my non-dominant hand as I carve. And you want to carve deep enough so that the ink doesn't touch your negative space. If you're rolling on ink and it's touching all of the space that you've tried to carve away, that means you need to carve a little bit deeper. And that's pretty much all there is to it.